Hey there and welcome back to Mass Effect. My name is Pete and today we complete the second part of the UNC Geth Incursions assignment, as well as the squad member quest for Tali, which connects to that. In the last episode we made the cut after clearing the Geth outpost on Caspin, so now there is only one more system in the Armstrong Nebula left for us, and how about we travel over there? As usual, a bit of collecting first. First we can grab some Matriarch's writings, and then also some Cobalt. The planet that holds Geth Outpost number 4 is Rayingri, so let's go with a heavily specialized squad of Tali and Liara, and then we can land. And welcome back on the surface. As usual, we will make a small tour of everything that is of interest on the planet. And the very first point of interest is rather close by to our landing zone, because after just a few moments of driving we discover the corpse of a scavenger. We can learn that the corpse shows signs of close range hits from Geth weapons. Other than that, we don't get anything here. No loot, no experience points, but the confirmation that the Geth are around somewhere. Now, once again I would like to share with you a bit of information about the planet that we're currently on. If we have a look at the planet's description, we can see that Rayingri is once again a planet that is uninhabited. And that was actually the case with all 3 planets that we have visited before. And that once again makes Rayingri a good choice for a Geth outpost, because it will likely take some time for the outpost to be discovered and there is nobody on the surface to take immediate action. Now I will get into the reasons why nobody lives on Rayingri in just a second. For now we have arrived at a scavenger camp, maybe connected to the scavenger corpse we have discovered before, and there is also one small crate that we can loot here. With a new shotgun, a Quarian armor, and also the info that the scavengers who worked here seem to have left in a hurry, we can now proceed, and we can go a bit more in detail about Rayingri. Now, the story about this planet is actually a bit of a tragic one. In contrast to, let's say, Caspin, for example, which is uninhabited because the Council wants to save its developing environment, Rayingri is uninhabited because it's about to be destroyed. The reason for that is a small planet that has been caught in a decaying orbit around Rayingri. Sooner or later, these 2 planets will get too close to each other and will literally rip each other apart. All of that is estimated to happen in just a few hundred years, which compared to the lifespan of a race like the Asari, for example, is really not that long. Now, we just got our hands on a small polonium deposit here, and just a few meters down the hill we have a crashed escape pod to search. Inside a League of One medallion, its owner unsurprisingly nowhere to be found, and that's actually it for the first round of sightseeing here. The next location we can mark on the map is the Geth outpost itself, which is a bit different to the ones that we have already encountered before. You will soon see what I mean by that, but the lack of red dots on the minimap should already be a first hint. As we approach up the hill here, we can see a few dragon's teeth. Those are the spiky devices that are used to turn people into husks, but somewhat surprisingly, there are no Geth around. There is, however, an underground bunker, and well, let's see what that holds in store for us. The layout here is nothing out of the usual. We should be pretty familiar with where to go here, and our first task is to get our hands on some easy loot. There is a secured storage locker over here that gives us 2 pistols and a shotgun, and at the opposite end of the room we have a weapon locker, which once again gives us 2 pistols and a shotgun. Now for the fun part. We can already see it on the compass in the lower right corner. There are a few enemies around. Those enemies are not that much of a threat though, because they perfectly fit what we saw outside. Dragon's teeth on the outside of the facility, husks on the inside. There are, I think, about 8 of them in this room, so I would say nothing that we can't handle, especially if we create a nice choke point right here. Now, we do have to be a bit careful with our crowd control abilities, because yes, we do have throw, lift and singularity available to us, but all of them only once, because we have Tali with us instead of Kaidan. I am at this point debating whether or not Tali is really all that useful to me, because apart from overload and sabotage, I don't really find myself using her other abilities all that much. I know that both damping and AI hacking can be immensely useful, but again, I just catch myself not using it that much. And well, Kaidan has sabotage and overload as well, plus a few nice biotic abilities. So yeah, I don't know, maybe he'll just get the edge over her. Now, the first wave of husks, we have that cleared out, but of course it would be a bit easy and also a bit disappointing probably if that was all. So after quickly grabbing some medigel that we don't need, we find ourselves in the back of the facility, where a few more husks await and they are already nicely grouped together behind the door. So Liara's abilities have all cooled down again, so that means we can hit them with the full barrage of crowd control, and that turns the second fight into a rather easy encounter. Likely also helped by the fact that this group is a bit smaller than the one we faced before. Now, the instant we kill this last husk here, our radar gets jammed. And this is kind of where the real fight begins. After fighting hordes of Geth troopers, turrets, armatures, and even the occasional Geth colossus, we cannot really expect a small number of husks to be everything this outpost has in store for us. And because of that, it should come to nobody's surprise that we are now facing a much stronger group of Geth, headlined by not one but two Geth destroyers. Luckily, these two have a tendency to rush ahead of their group, and as soon as we have their shields down, they are actually pretty easily taken care of. That now leaves the rest of the group without their two strongest units, meaning that we can now move in and mop up the pieces. Normally, I'm not a fan of directly engaging a large number of Geth, but it can be discussed whether or not 5 is actually a large number at this point, and there are only 2 specialized units in that, with 2 Geth snipers. The rest are your run-of-the-mill Geth troopers, so we won't have to deal with the slightly more dangerous abilities that the rocket troopers or shock troopers have. Now, one more Geth trooper to take down, and then we have this outpost cleared out, at least from the inside, because there is one more fight coming up. We will get to that in just a few moments. For now, we can return to the back of the facility, and this is actually something that can be forgotten about, because this fight here tends to lure you back into the main area. The back, however, is where we can find some sweet loot. We will first head into the room on the left side, where the first container is also to the left. Inside, among other things, the Punisher 9 sniper rifle, a very powerful long-range killing tool that we should definitely keep in mind. Then in the far right corner of the room we have a malfunctioning object, and right next to it between the beds another crate, this one with the level 8 version of the Punisher sniper rifle, so something that we can probably sell right away. Let's now quickly move over to the room on the other side. The first container is a bit easy to miss here. It is right next to the entrance behind this big plant over here, and of particular interest for us is the Breaker 8 assault rifle inside. On the right side, a bit further down in the back, we have another malfunctioning object, this one again just with a single upgrade. And then I just remembered there is one more crate in the room that we visited previously, so let's quickly return, and over here in the far left corner there is another crate. And it would have been a shame to miss out on this sniper rifle and Krogan armor here. Now, however, we are officially done in this underground bunker, and that means we can run back to the entrance and then return to the surface. As we soon discover, the return to the surface does not equal the end to the fighting, as the area that was deserted when we arrived is now crawling with Geth. This third wave has been brought in with a dropship and consists of a good mixture of all available Geth troopers. We're facing, I believe, a group of 7 here. Half of them are normal Geth troopers, but we have at least 1 rocket trooper, 1 sniper and 1 shock trooper in here as well. On lower levels this fight can actually be somewhat challenging, so with that in mind, when you arrive it's a good idea to park the Mako in such a way that it offers good cover when you come out of the bunker again. Equipped with pretty good armor and weaponry and also on a high level, we can waltz through here though. As you just saw, the snipers can be a bit dangerous, but other than that we should be able to take out all the enemies here without much trouble.
This is odd. I would have expected one of these outposts to be a main base of operations for the Geth Incursion into this region.
Hold on. This receiver's picking up some kind of transmission. Based on the signal strength, I'd say it's coming from inside this star cluster.
It must be a message from the primary Geth base. We can use the signal to lock onto its location and eliminate them. It must be a message from the primary Geth base. We can use the signal to lock onto its
Well, thank you, Liara. No need to repeat yourself. Seems like we found our final destination for this mission. Before we leave Rayingri though and finally take care of the Geth in this region, there are 3 points of interest that we still have to visit here. The first one is a mineral deposit, very close by, and depending on where you come from on your way to the Geth outpost, you might actually want to grab that first. After securing some thorium for us, we can now proceed, and as you can see on the map, the next marker is also pretty much around the corner.
En route.
This crashed probe right here, which requires medium electronics to salvage, contains 2 ammo upgrades, and one of them are high explosive rounds, something that we might actually experiment with down the line. I'm still not 100% convinced that high explosive rounds are really that useful. They do have a very nice impact, but they also overheat pretty much every weapon in just a matter of seconds, so I think for the moment we might be better off sticking to shredder and tungsten rounds. And here we are now at point of interest number 3, a titanium deposit, and with that surveyed, we can now return to the Normandy. And let's instantly go back to the galaxy map because, well, we have some work to do. After the events on Rayingri, we now have unlocked a 5th system in the Armstrong Nebula, so let us travel to the Grissom system. As usual, a small collecting tour before we touch down, as we can find a League of One medallion here, a beryllium deposit here, and a rocky asteroid with some polonium on it over here. That leaves the planet Solcrum as the Geth operations base, and squad-wise, let's continue with Tali and Liara. They have definitely served us well in the past. Now, on the surface of Solcrum, we face a level 1 heat hazard. With a surface temperature of 350 degrees Celsius, which is actually slightly above the melting point of lead, Solcrum is a pretty hot planet. If you want to complete the inevitable fights on this planet on foot, then bringing one suit of Devlin Industries armor with you is a good idea. This armor will negate all level 1 hazards, and while it doesn't completely negate the level 2 hazards, it still allows you to spend a bit more time outside the Mako. Now, our first point of interest here on Solcrum is the Cesari capsule, and that one is actually pretty hard to reach. For our troubles, we receive another set of Matriarch's writings, and can now go back into the Mako and navigate our way out of this crater. By the way, I think I said that earlier, that Solcrum was just a planet. To be a bit more specific about that, Solcrum is actually a moon, the moon of a large gas giant. And as such, and combined with a very high surface temperature, it once again comes to nobody's surprise that no one lives here. Just like all the other planets that we have visited in this system, this makes it an excellent spot for an outpost, that is if you don't want your activities to be discovered. Now up next we have a crashed probe, and this one once again requires medium electronics. Inside we find 2 grenade upgrades. I believe we have the high explosive 8 already, and I'm personally not a huge fan of the cryo explosives. And we now only have one more location to visit before the big fight starts, so get ready for some action. By the way, when this video is over, I would be very interested in your thoughts on this assignment, as it is one of the longer ones, and also one that is typically completed in one go. I would really like to know what you think about the whole design of the questline, how it climaxes here in this final fight on Solcrum, and also the overall implications that it has for the main story. Because I personally feel like that is something that often gets overlooked. What the Geth are doing here is nothing else than planning a full-scale invasion. In terms of importance for the Mass Effect universe, that is probably slightly above fighting a few crime lords, but that importance is never really highlighted in the questline. So yeah, let me know what you think about this, and we can survey another mineral deposit. A bit more magnesium, some money, and also some experience points are now ours, and that means let's target the Geth outpost on the map and put an end to this invasion once and for all. Alright, here we are already with a good view of the enemies below. This elevated position gives us a lot of advantages, so let's quickly upgrade our weapons, most importantly our sniper rifle, to make use of this advantage. Now, compared to what we faced in the outpost before, the area below us is pretty laughable, at least when it comes to Geth troopers. The 2 Geth colossi patrolling down there are definitely no jokes, but I'm referring more to the 3 rocket troopers in the watchtowers. 2 shots from the sniper rifle and they're dealt with, and with the whole affair here not taking much longer than a few seconds, I also didn't bother changing Shepard's armor. I think we might get very close to maxing out the hazard meter, but as long as we get back into the Mako in one piece, that should be absolutely fine. The same also goes for losing our squad mates here. Going back inside the Mako will auto-revive them, but before that can even happen, they're back on their feet already because we're too far away to initiate combat. Alright, that is the first set of enemies taken care of. Now we can drive the Mako down into the small valley and engage the 2 Geth colossi. And while the colossi are amongst the toughest Geth units in the game, these 2 right here are actually not that much of a challenge. The main reason for that is their initial positioning on opposite sides of the bunker. That positioning allows us to drive in circles around the 2, and that will, at least for the most part, always keep the bunker between us and 1 colossus. So going in circles is a good strategy to go with here, but a bit of rocking back and forth in between will also come in handy. This was, by the way, the first point where I started to get a bit disappointed with this final planet, because, well, in terms of super mega boss fight, I expected a bit more. Now, there is a lot more fighting still left to come, but this right here was a bit anticlimactic for me. One more thing tactics-wise, but I think that goes without saying. In situations like these, it's of course a good idea to keep your fire focused on one enemy, take that enemy down, and then proceed to the next one. Killing 2 Geth colossi in rapid succession is of course very satisfying, but cutting their numbers in half early on might be the better choice. Speaking of that, we should now have this colossus at a low enough health level to take it out on foot, so let's quickly jump out of the Mako and get the kill with our assault rifle. Wonderful, almost 1,500 XP for that, enough for us to level up. So let's quickly take care of that before I forget about it. For Shepard we will continue as usual in sniper rifles. With Liara we will max out barrier, leaving us with stasis and first aid as the next choices. And with Tali we have already put 1 point in pistols, so we might as well make it 2. Now back to the fighting, we have 1 more colossus left, and please allow me to speed this next minute up a bit, it's really not going to be all that entertaining. At this point, while we have a few seconds, please also leave suggestions for what we can do next. I don't have anything in particular planned after this assignment, but we could for example finish up the Asari diplomacy assignment, which would also complete everything there is to do in the Artemis Tau cluster. Alternatively, we could also continue with the whole Cerberus questline. The only thing that I would like to stay away from for the moment is Vermeer, at least until we have done all the squad assignments. And no, I will not spoil the reasons behind that. Now Geth Colossus number 2 is ready to be finished, so let's once again take matters into our own hands and use the assault rifle to do the job. Alright, and that completes the outside area of this final Geth outpost. As I said, there is a bit more fighting still left to come, but that takes place inside. For starters, we want our squad mates safely in the back, where we can still access their abilities but don't get them in the line of fire, and then we want to take cover on the left side and focus on the mobile enemies first. We have taken care of 1 Geth Stalker already, and there are actually 2 more of its kind around, but while we're at it, I believe that's a Geth Destroyer in the back here. That one is also a very nice target, as it doesn't seem to be very interested in firing back. A few seconds later, the next Stalker appears, and that's also what we should save our biotic abilities for here. A nice round of Singularity keeps this enemy pinned down, and as soon as we have a clear line of fire, the Stalkers are really not that hard to take down. As we peek around the corner here, we can already see our next target, a Geth Juggernaut placed on a balcony, so it has height advantage, and that means we should stay out of this room until that one is taken care of. Now once again, the enemy positioning is the key to our success here, because as long as we stay on the left side here and partially in cover, we really have the ability to pick off our enemies one after the other. The Sappers and Stalkers are the only ones that really engage us. Well, the other enemies might do that too eventually, but they are rather slow moving, and so we can pretty much gradually proceed to clear this area. Now with the majority of the enemies cleared out, we can now move in. That still leaves 2 Geth Destroyers against us, but we have this conveniently placed column in the middle of the room, which allows us to more or less decimate the first destroyer before the second one can do anything about it. And with this rather unspectacular finish, the UNC Geth Incursions assignment is now complete. The game now presents us with a small message telling us of the recording of a singing Quarian that is now being sent to the Geth. While that might not make a whole lot of sense right now, it is actually a subtle hint that we might find something of value for Tali here. So let's begin to loot the place here in the back. We can first find some ammo upgrades over here on the left, then in a secured crate an assault rifle, a sniper rifle and a heavy human armor. But of particular interest for us is the Geth terminal in the middle here. Unlocking that gives us access to encrypted Geth data files, which, and I quote, in the proper hands could reveal much about the evolution of the Geth since the banishment of the Quarians. Well, I guess it can't hurt to have a chat with Tali soon. For the moment though, we can leave again. The upper balcony area where the Geth Juggernaut was positioned is empty, so what we just grabbed is all the loot available in the building, so let's get out of here. Now we have to make 2 more quick stops before we can finally go back to the Normandy. Nothing special though, just 2 mineral deposits. The first one is right over here on this slightly inaccessible hill, so let's get our hands on some uranium and then proceed to the last one. And somewhat fitting, after surveying some uranium first, we now have some thorium over here. And as soon as we have that secured, we can leave Solcrum and mark the entire Armstrong Nebula as completed. Back on the Normandy, we first want to access the galaxy map for a nice message from Admiral Hackett.
Message from Admiral Hackett, Commander. Patching it through.
We just received your report. Looks like this Geth incursion was bigger than we thought. They were probably preparing for a major offensive in the system. We're increasing patrols in the Armstrong Cluster to make sure they can't establish another foothold in the region. Nice job, Shepard. You saved a lot of human lives on this mission. Hack it out.
Those kind words were actually all we came for. I don't really want to travel anywhere right now. So let's exit the galaxy map again and then we can proceed downstairs for a chat with Tali. Quick refresher, Tali is still on her pilgrimage, and that pilgrimage requires her to bring something of value back to her people. And well, who knows, maybe some secret data about the Geth might be just that thing.
Shepard, I need to talk to you. It's important.
Well, that is something we can agree upon.
Is something wrong?
You know the data you took from those Geth control nodes? The information you uploaded to Alliance Control? I want a copy of it.
So Tali does in fact have an interest in the Geth data. Who could have guessed?
You want to bring this data back to the migrant fleet.
Those files have information that could be vital to our efforts to understand the Geth. It could be the key to helping us reclaim our homeworld.
But does this also mean that you'll leave the Normandy, with your pilgrimage now over, I guess?
If I give you this data, your pilgrimage is over. You'll go back to your own people.
Not right away. I'll stay with you as long as it takes to stop Seren. But my people need this.
You never mentioned this, but what exactly do your people need this for?
You think you can use this information to destroy your enemy?
Not right away. We will need to study it. It could take years, but it will give us new insight into how the Geth have changed and evolved over the past centuries.
Alright, and here we have the choice. We can either give her the data or refuse. Both options will only net us 1 morality point either way, so we'll go with the slightly more friendly choice that also has positive consequences in Mass Effect 2, and we will of course give her the data.
Go ahead, make a copy.
My people, I owe you a great debt, one I can never repay. The only thing I can offer in return is what you already have. My solemn promise to stay with you until Seren and his Geth armies are defeated.
And I think that is a promise that we all can live with.
I never wanted anything more.
Thank you, Shepard.
Alright, 1 Paragon point, a few experience points, and the Tali and the Geth assignment also completed now. And I think it is well about time to make a cut here. As I said before, leave ideas below for what you would like to see next. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.